It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors Southwest.
Hi everybody, welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you along today, and I'm really pumped to be where I am. We are a long way from my hometown in Texas. We're all the way on the East Coast at Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. This place is fantastic. Not only does it have great fishing for redfish and speckled trout and flounder and many more species, but it's got great golfing, paddle boarding, kayaking, everything that a family would love to do. You can find it at Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. And we're going to be joined in the boat today by someone that our Eastern viewers will be very familiar with. He is Captain Inglis Glover. He lives here at Murrells Inlet. He's been in this area his whole life, and each week he does our weekly Carolinas report on Fox Sports South on that eastern version of our show. So we are ready to go in the Mako 21 LTS. Captain Glover is going to join us right here in the boat. Right now though, we're going to take you back to the FSN studios for your weekend planner, and when we come back, not only will we be doing a little fishing here at Murrells Inlet, but we'll be taking you around the region for your latest local fishing reports from our expert team of insider reporters. Here's Julie with your weekend planner.
The Flounder tables are predicting the top game fish activity on both days this weekend to take place around dawn and again in the evening a little bit after sunset. Expect the sun to rise at 7:23 and set at 6:53. And night skies will feature a moon that is 41% illuminated. We're coming right back with all the current freshwater and coastal fishing information from around the area. Plus, Bassmaster angler Keith Combs joins us with some thoughts on the Alabama rig.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. By Motor Guide, trolling motors engineered for anglers. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Welcome to the big leagues.
What you got?
Yeah, flounder.
Have you got one?
Yes, finally. Doesn't feel real big there.
Oh, that's a decent flounder
Yeah.
right there.
Yep, he might be a keeper here. Oh.
There we go. All right. Hey, welcome back everybody. Fox Sports Outdoors today. There's the white side. Turn him over to the pretty side.
Definitely a keeper.
Let them see. Got us a keeper flounder here right off the bat, early in the morning. Step down here and let's show off what one of your South Carolina flounders look like. That's a beautiful fish right there. Snaggly teeth right there. We're with Captain Inglis Glover. He's joined us in the boat, and we're not keeping fish today, so we're gonna
There we go.
We're gonna hold that baby up one more time like that, show you what he looks like. Beautiful fish. Inglis, give us an overview for someone who's never heard of Murrells Inlet. What is this place?
Well, Murrells Inlet is the south end of the Grand Strand area, which I know a lot of people have heard of, the Myrtle Beach area. We are an inlet that's located down here. We're approximately 5 miles long and 2 miles wide. We have some unbelievable fishing. Throughout the year, we've got everything from speckled trout, redfish to flounder. We've got plenty of nearshore and offshore fisheries that are accessible, but we're a beautiful inlet here with so much to do. You guys need to come down and visit and see what the South Strand is all about.
We'll tell you a little more about it. We're gonna get rigged up here. We're fishing a jig head with live mullet. In fact, I'll show you just a quick shot of what some of these mullet look like. That's what we're fishing with on an outgoing tide back in some little shallow channels. Let's get you some fishing reports to get started this week. Let's go to Oklahoma with Gary Dollahan.
Hey, let me tell you what we've got going on here. I've jumped in the boat this evening with Chris Lindenberg, the owner of Gene LaRue Lures. We're on the navigation channel. We put in at Afton Landing between Coweta and Wagner. We came here to try to catch some crappie this evening, but as soon as we got to the boat ramp, we saw that these big old giant schools of shad are everywhere. Big old black balls, clouds of shad, I mean all over the place in the back of this oxbow. So we've been chasing these shad around. We can see some fish busting in them on occasion, more often slashing in it than actually breaking on the surface. Looks like a few white bass, but what we've been catching are small largemouth. I mean anywhere from about a half a pound up to about a pound and a quarter, pound and a half. We found out the best bait for what we're doing is the Bobby Garland baby shad swimmer. And like I said, we're either casting and reeling back in through those schools of shad, or we're doodle socking that bait around some of the standing timber or the laydowns that we see in this creek when those shad get close to them. A lot of fun catching their fish. They're not big. But you know what? When those fish figure out these shad are back in these creeks like they are, we get past this September funk that we've had going on. I mean, we're already in October, so things are going to get better in a hurry going forward. We'll also get this full moon behind us. Things are going to get really lights out and good fishing in a hurry. One thing you also want to watch out for when you're doing this, especially in areas like this where you have lots of overhangs you're fishing around, look for the wasp nest. They're really showing up right now. Fortunately, Chris saw this giant one before we actually went underneath it and fished a lay down there. So a good spot by Chris to save us, I think, some pretty tough times on the old boat here this afternoon. Great time of year to be fishing in Oklahoma, but one thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
There we go, got him right here, yeah. A little bit smaller one. Still right on that edge of 14 inches, you know.
Yeah.
That's our limit here.
Yep. All right, well, we've got him biting right here. One more little flounder right there, not a big one for you. Back that one goes, and we're going to take a quick break right here for word from our sponsors. And want to put up just a couple of things here real quick. We ate at a great restaurant last night, one of your favorites.
Yes, it is. The
What's
Dead Dog Saloon, located right here at Murrells Inlet.
Fantastic fresh seafood and fish, shrimp, everything right here off the inlet, everything fresh off the boat. You might want to give them a shot if you come here. There's another couple of restaurants you like here
Oh, it's
as
a
well.
beautiful restaurants all along the Marsh Walk. The Murrells Inlet Marsh Walk area, like we had talked about, has just really, you know, brought a lot of economic growth to the inlet here.
Swim with it, baby. It's weird. He's waited till I got almost to the boat, and I think I've got a fish on here, but I'm not sure.
There
I
he
do.
is. Way to go, Barry. Oh, yeah. Oh. There we go.
There we go. All right. I got my first South Carolina flounder right there. Welcome back, everybody. Here, I'll show you the little jig head we're using. It's just a painted lead jig head right there. And we're tipping it with these live mullet. And there is a beautiful South Carolina Murrells Inlet flounder right there. We got a little something working. Thank you there, everybody. What's the peak times of the year to come here if somebody wants to book a trip for flounder or for redfish?
Well, I tell you, honestly, you know, the flounder start moving in mid-March, depending upon once we start getting some warmer weather, mid-March to late March, and they'll be here all the way through November. Redfish are the same. Redfish typically come in a little bit later, around June, and they'll be here into January and February.
Now, as far as the offshore fishing, when it's calm, when it's reasonable out here, you can actually run offshore out in the Atlantic Ocean, fish some reefs, and what are you going to catch when you go out there, and what time of the year should you do that?
Well, that is another fishery that really is good. May into September and October, and you're going to catch king mackerel, Spanish mackerel, black sea bass, spadefish, sheep's head, flounder. You catch a lot of big flounder out there on the reef. You know, it's a great fishery to get out on, fishing on these artificial reefs that the state has put here, and also on some real good live bottom areas that are located within 5 to 10 miles of the shore.
Awesome. Let's get you some more fishing and lake reports. Let's go to Louisiana with Cajun Phil and Kevin.
Hey friends, Cajun Phil here for your Fox Louisiana Fish Report. Wow, is this beautiful weather or what? I tell you what, the cool fronts we've been having coming through, it's just been simply awesome. Fishing, I don't care whether you want to go bass fishing, whether you want to go white perch fishing, whether you want to go speckled trout or red fishing, it is on right now. Let's talk a little bit about saltwater fishing. We talked to Captain John Falderman. He's down at Slidell, Louisiana, fishing Lake Pontchartrain. He's catching speckled trout, redfish, drum almost each and every day. Captain Bill Lake down in Houma, Louisiana. He's catching tons of speckled trout and redfish each and every day. Down in Venice, offshore action is simply stupid. One of our guys, Captain Sean McCrae, right here on Calcasieu Lake, he went offshore the other day because he didn't have a charter. He had 2 guys with him. They limited out with their 6 big old ling, cobia, lemonfish, whatever you want to call it. They had a great trip. Fishing right now is off the charts, friend. You want to go bass fishing? Toledo Bend's an awesome place. Lake Caddo's an awesome place. Right now, the Atchafalaya Basin is on fire. Give old Cajun Phil a call, 337 540-5530. What I'll do is I'll put you in touch with a guide wherever you want to go. Freshwater, saltwater fishing. I'll put you in touch with a guide in the areas that you want to go, and I guarantee you one thing, you'll have a great trip.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. By Mercury Marine, celebrating 75 years of marine excellence. By Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability. By Tracker Boats, it's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. And by Whataburger. Get your day started at Whataburger with the new jalapeno cheddar biscuit.
You got one?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yep.
yeah,
Oh,
look
yeah.
at that.
There.
Look at this deal.
There we go.
Easy.
That's what we call a doormat.
Oh man, look at that.
There we go.
That is your South Carolina pig flounder right there. There's your jig.
Thanks.
There we go. Way to go, Inglis. Hey, welcome back, everybody. South Carolina coming at you right there. Romp, 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 romp. Captain Inglis Glover in the boat with us. He does our Southeast reports on the Southeast version of our show. If you're not familiar with that, by the way, over in the Southwest, if you've been watching us for 12 years, we have a new version of our show. The whole Southeast part of our country is being covered by several different insider reporters. Captain Inglis Glover does our reports covering both Carolinas, and not only is there good fishing here at Murrells Inlet, but you guys have got a lot of good fishing over here in this part of the country. What are some other good locations other than here for even freshwater?
I'll tell you what, you got a lot of things right around here. You know, the C&T Cooper Lake system, you know, everybody has heard of that at some point in time. Moving up into North Carolina, you got Lake Norman, High Rock Lake. You've got Lake Hartwell in the upstate of South Carolina. Lake Jocassee is a beautiful lake that I tell you, the trout fishery up there is unbelievable, and also the scenery on that lake is incredible. You got Lake Lure up in the mountains. Then you've got that whole Strom-Thurmond Lake system that's located Clarks Hill Lake. This is our borders, South Carolina and Georgia.
Now this is a nice flounder. This would be, how big a flounder would
That's
this
probably about a 20 incher. I'd say he's a 19, 20 incher.
Okay.
You know, very respectable, very
bet.
respectable.
And good eating fish. This is a keeper. They have to be how big to be a keeper here?
14 inches, and you can keep 10 per person on the boat, but 14 inches, and we moved it up about 2 years ago to 14 from 13, and we're starting to see a substantial growth in the size of fish that we're catching, but you know, I'd like to honestly see them go to 15 or 16 inches, but 14 is great, and I mean, that fish right there would taste good.
You bet. Let's put him back right here.
There he goes, he'll kick.
And down he goes. Time right now for more fishing reports. Let's head back to Texas and check in with Brian Hughes, your freshwater report, followed by Captain Bill Olson. He's on the Texas Gulf Coast.
Hi folks, on this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by More Security and Heritage Safes, we're north of Atlanta, Texas at Lake Wright-Patman. Now this is a structure lake, meaning you're going to want to fish those points and channels. You can also find brush piles if you're after the crappie and drop your minnows and jigs on them. Bass fishermen, start your day in the fall along the shorelines at the points and creeks and work your top waters like your pop-ars and buzzbaits. Then switch to your Cincos in either shad colors or a watermelon red with a little dip of chartreuse on the tail. And finally, your spinnerbaits and traps for motion power fishing. That'll get you some bass on Wright-Patman. Now, down at Falcon Lake, even though water levels are a little sketchy, they're catching some really big bass right now, up to and above 10 pounds on deep diving crankbaits along the hardwoods. And it's important that you find the old hardwoods, not the flooded bushes and stuff that you may see along the way. And finally, out at Choke Canyon, they're catching their fish right now on prepared baits right off the points for the cat fishermen. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Heritage Safes from More Security. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, this week's report is brought to you by Port Aransas on Mustang Island, the fishing capital of Texas, where anglers enjoy pristine bays, estuaries, 18 miles of surf, and the deep blue waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Plus the local restaurants will even cook your catch come sundown. Come fish and play Texas Island style. For more information, visit portaransas.org. Well, this is the last weekend for a coastal cast and blast option with Dove as the hunting target. Blast and cast options resume in a couple of weeks when the waterfowl season opens November 1. Cool fronts continue to move southward across the Lone Star State. The front that moved through earlier this week had a little more punch to it and blew water and bait out of the marshes and back lakes. On Sabine Lake, the bird activity has increased, with more redfish also being in the lake. The same scenario is occurring around Galveston Bay and east and west Matagorda Bay. Trout and redfish are both working the shallow shorelines. Anglers continue to monitor the impact of the reopening of Cedar Bayou. Water clarity is improving, with more bait moving into Mesquite Bay. Redfish have also been active. Speckled trout are being caught on topwater lures, paddle tail soft plastics, and live shrimp from Allen's Bight to the Lighthouse. Also, spoil islands either side of the Corpus Christi Ship Channel are holding fish. Redfish are in the mix at Shamrock Cove. Trout fishing has been good from the Laguna Shores grass beds to Peta Island. However, floating grass has hampered that topwater bite. But soft plastics rigged weedless have done well to overcome the problem. The community bar out of Port Mansfield, as well as around 3 islands, have held some solid trout. Offshore out of Port Mansfield, the CCA reef has had some good red snapper. Mexiquita Flats, Long Bar, and southeast of Duncan has redfish and trout. Mangrove snapper are hitting live shrimp at the causeways. This weekend, both Saturday and Sunday have a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides each day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Costa Sunglasses. See what's out there. By Luz, setting a new standard in fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Strike King Lures, #1 in fishing. By Lowrance Electronics, find, navigate, dominate. By Fort Worth Nissan, Fox Sports Outdoors is powered by Fort Worth Nissan.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the Whataburger Ask the Pro, where viewers get insider tips from top anglers. This week's question is from Joseph, who wonders, is the Alabama rig a passing fad, or is it here to stay? For the answer, we checked with 3-time Toyota Texas Bass Classic champion, Keith Combs.
You know, I really haven't thrown an Alabama rig that much. Actually, I've only spent a few days on the water. And most of the tournaments that I fish, we're not allowed to throw it. But I tell you what, it's an extremely powerful way to catch fish, specifically in that pre-spawn mode. But we saw some summertime tournaments last year dominated on an Alabama rig also. So, you know, I think the bait is, there's a lot of unknowns about it. I think the deep water fishing of the Alabama rig is something that an angler can really target and really catch some huge bags of fish. You know, I know you don't hear as much about it as you did at first, but it is the real deal, and it's a technique that's going to be around for a long time and catching plenty of big bass.
Thanks, Keith. If you need help from one of the pros, visit foxsportsoutdoors.com and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit your question. Now let's see who wins a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
We've made it back to the Inlet Sports Lodge at Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. More on that in just a moment, but right now it's time for this week's Costa Catch of the Week winner. Someone wins a free pair of Costa sunglasses. He is Jackson Green of Port O'Connor, Texas, showing a 44-inch redfish he caught off the Port O'Connor jetties. If you'd like to enter the contest, just go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com, follow the instructions, send us your big fish photo. If you're a winner, you'll win a free pair of Costa sunglasses. And you can see all of the Costa frame and lens styles at their website. You can get there by going back to the front page of our website and clicking on the Costa logo. You'll see everything there, including the frame style that we were wearing on this week's episode at Murrells Inlet. This frame style is called Tag. Next up on the Academy Sports and Outdoors Right Stuff feature, you'll need some pretty specific gear to catch the flounder, redfish, speckled trout here at Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. And it begins with the Luz Speed Spool Inshore Bait Cast Reel Series. This does a great job on all saltwater applications, but in particular on these inshore species like we caught today. We had it spooled, 17-pound test Stren fluorocast line, which also is the perfect line for all 3 of these species. Now, the rig that we use to catch these fish, actually 2 different rigs, begins with a slip bobber rig. It starts with a sliding bobber stop, a red bead that slides up against the stop, a sliding bobber like you see here. Below that, about a 1/4 ounce sliding weight. Below that, you've got a barrel swivel. You've got about 18 inches of a little bit heavier leader line. And then on the end of that, you've got the hook, and we'll show you that we used live mullet. We'll show you how you hook those. You nose hook them up through the bottom lip and then up through the nose, and that way they do a real good job of sliding through all of the rocks and oysters and all of the snags that are around this inlet. As we mentioned at the beginning, Murrells Inlet is a fantastic resort and vacation area with lots to do for your entire family. And here is the place to stay. It's where we stayed. It's called the Inlet Sports Lodge. It's where we are right now. They have a great facility here, very comfortable lounge out front. Got a restaurant attached to it. Got a fantastic sitting area, a great place to hang out, a pool, fish cleaning area, storage for your golf clubs. Everything you need at the Inlet Sports Lodge, and I highly recommend that if you're coming here for any reason, you book your stay at the Inlet Sports Lodge. Michelle and her crew do a fantastic job here. Down through the ages, there have been many variations on a quote that goes something like this: "Those who don't learn from their history are doomed to repeat it." I've been very blessed in my lifetime to have been able to visit some of the great historical destinations in our great country, from Boston to Philadelphia, and even more recently Charleston, South Carolina, home of Fort Sumter, where the first and last shots of the Civil War were fired. Very interesting stories on either end of that spectrum. If you don't know them, read up on it. I'm fearful that in our culture today, we don't do enough to learn about our own history and what shaped and formed our country and the freedoms that we now enjoy. I believe that each of us has a responsibility to those who, in many instances, gave their lives to give us the very freedoms that we now enjoy, that we should take the time to at least have a basic knowledge of our own history. And there's lots of information available in books and online. Even take the time to visit some of these great historical destinations. I think our culture and the generations to come will be much better for it if we keep those perspectives alive. I hope you enjoyed our trip today with Captain Inglis Glover at Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. Don't forget to join us on next week's show. We'll be on Thursday at 10:30 p.m. and a repeat airing Saturday at 7:30 a.m. And if any of those times ever change, you'll be the first to know on our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. You can always get the latest episode of our show right up on the front page, and something new this season right below that: all the archived episodes, all of our how-to videos, and much more. The more episodes and more video section right below the latest episodes. We also put lots of news and video and photos up on our Twitter feed. Check it out at our Twitter address you see there. We still have our Facebook page going at the Facebook address as well. Till next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.